MTN Sports, this is Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Welcome into the Bobcat Insider. Grace Lawrence here with Keaton Galogli. And Keaton, we've made it. The teams have made it through that grueling stretch to end the season. 3 games, 5 days, but both ending on a high note, sweeping Weber State on Monday night.
Yeah, and much needed. And so now we are locked and ready to go for the Big Sky Tournament. The women are the 4 seed, taking on Northern Colorado on Monday, tipping at noon. The men are the 5 seed. They get a rematch with Weber State. That game tips at 5:30. And for the women, big time, much needed bounce back against Weber after that soul-crushing loss against Eastern.
Definitely. And you saw the gas kind of run out against Idaho on Thursday, so I felt it was really good to see them come in, getting the senior day juice with Taylor, with Caitlin, with Maddie. Coming into that one, they tie it. They get Louetta on a very hard shot, something you kind of want to end that game, but of course she makes it. They become the regular season champs, and they steal senior day. Never like to see that as the home team.
No, and that was 2 dramatic games between Montana State and Eastern, and the road team did win both, so the Cats split with the top seed. Meanwhile, for the men, what an atmosphere on Monday to close this thing out.
Couldn't agree more. National television, and John Olmstead was the guy. He tied his career high. He had a 13-point run right there. It ended with a 3-point shot. He had the brick absolutely rocking. Even Carter asked on SportsCenter on Monday night. It felt like everyone was making their shots last night.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do. And really, the biggest run of that game was with Rob Ford on the bench. And so to see that depth continue to develop is really, really important. And now we'll see if Montana State can carry that over as we get into Big Sky play. All right, we're going to talk with women's head coach Tricia Binford in a bit. But first, after this timeout, we're sitting down with men's head coach Matt Logie on the Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
We're back on the Bobcat Insider. I'm Keaton Galogli, along with head men's coach Matt Logie. And Coach, congratulations. You made it to the end of the regular season. How you holding up?
Well, the roller coaster isn't done just yet, but it's been a heck of a ride with this group. From day one last spring, through the preseason, and to get to this point in conference play and earn a bye in the Big Sky Tournament is a great way to finish with a win at senior night, and getting excited to go to Boise.
Yeah, no doubt. And what a way to send off the Bobcat crowd and the fan base with that game. I mean, that place was up in arms the entire second half.
Yeah, it was a great way to go out. We've been saying all year, let's play our best basketball in March, and this year wasn't about, the losses that we went through, but the lessons that we went through, and being able to point those towards, future success. And our guys have had a great attitude about that throughout the year, and it was great to see it all come together last night. And for Bobcat fans out there to be able to go home on a high note, with the last home game, and really have something to look forward to, and not only in Boise but in the future. It was an exciting night.
No doubt. Well, a lot of great growth throughout the year. John Olmstead, certainly one of the great stories over the last 2 games. 30 combined points in the last 2 games after scoring 34 all year long. First of all, take me back to just when you were recruiting John, and almost a year ago now, and what were some of the conversations like with him while you were enticing him to come here, and what were you communicating to him in what he could be as a Bobcat?
Well, with all of those recruitments last spring, things happened very quickly. So we didn't have, a lot of time. We had to evaluate quickly. We had to get to know, the athletes and their families very quickly. And I think, for us, what we were looking for with John was just somebody that had a maturity about him, somebody that could execute and be a part of something bigger than himself. He had shown that, over his 4 years at Arizona State. But also somebody that had a little meat left on the bone, and something that, a hunger to prove himself a little bit more. And he's done a great job of sticking to the process and preparing himself day in and day out. And, this last couple of weeks has gotten more opportunity, and it was great to see him break through.
Yeah, a lot of fun to watch. And, he was making an impact even before he got out on the floor. He was talking about how much he was working with Sam Lekalot before Lekalot had his breakout. Even before he got on the floor, what were you seeing in his impact and how he was helping to raise the bar for his teammates?
Well, he's just a great teammate. There have been times he's been on the scout team. There have been times he's been working with the first unit and everything in between. And so the thing about John that is really, really impressive is his discipline. He gets up at the same time every day, gets his shots in, goes to class, does his work, treats people the right way, executes the game plan, follows directions, supports teammates when things aren't going maybe necessarily his way. And it's everything that you want in a teammate. And for somebody like that to have the moment that he had last night, you could see the joy on his teammates' face for him, and that was really special.
Right, it was not just a moment, it was moment after moment after moment in the really game-deciding run. He scored 13 consecutive points, and this was all with Rob Ford on the floor or off the floor, so he was on the bench for that long stretch of time. Tell me about what was just working in that long stretch while John Olmsted capped his 13-0 run with that three at the end.
Well, it's a team effort. I thought our guys did a really good job of spacing the floor. Eddie Turner was finding him on the ball screen opportunities that we had. John moves really well for his size, and so that's a real advantage for him and for us to be able to dive to the rim, and he can handle the basketball on the catch and make the next pass, as well as attack the rim when the ball's lobbed to him. And so having that dual threat and that unselfishness really puts the defense in a tough spot because you have to pick your poison.
Right, you mentioned the passing piece. Over his last two games, John Olmsted 8 assists, 2 turnovers. So he's really distributing the basketball. And it's not just him. Eddie Turner right now looks like he's playing with confidence. He's smooth, kind of knows where he's going. And, he didn't only score 2 points against Idaho on Thursday, but had 7 steals and then had that game-tying 3 against Eastern Washington. It does seem like Eddie Turner maybe has taken another step here lately.
No question. Again, somebody that had a little bit more meat on the bone when we got our hands on him. I'd only played, I think, 19 games in his first few years at Columbia, and so he's just continued to get better and better as the years gone on, and understanding our system and making teammates around him better, becoming a more consistent shooter has really opened the game up and opened the floor up for him as well.
It was also senior day for Robert Ford III, and he sits now at 999 career points after that performance on Monday night. And just tell me about the emotion when he came off and you were able to give him that big hug as Carter Ashe came onto the floor. What were the emotions of that moment?
Just gratitude. A lot of gratitude. Rob is someone that obviously has paid his dues. He had an opportunity to explore his options last spring during the coaching transition and chose us. And that's meant a lot to us all year long. He has worn his heart on his sleeve every single time he stepped on the court. I know his teammates and our fans have appreciated that all year long. And that's all I wanted to share with him was just thank you. We love you. And it's been a really awesome example for our players about the competitive passion that it requires to be at your best.
Well, and of course, while he's getting hugs, Carter Ashe is throwing up a Sports Center bank shot off the glass and really sending that place into a bonanza. But, hey, big win against Weber State, so now we look ahead to the Big Sky tournament. So don't play until Monday evening, but it's a rematch against Weber State, and you're going to try to end Dylan Jones' Weber career here. What are some of the unique challenges of playing a team 2 games consecutively, even with a week off like this?
Well, just a short time ago, I wouldn't have been able to answer that question because it doesn't happen very often in these circumstances. But going through COVID, I had an experience where we had to play the same team 4 times in a row, and it's definitely unique. There's a cat and mouse game involved in terms of the X's and O's and making adjustments, and obviously with just 1 game left out of that back-to-back, trying to anticipate what their adjustments might be and be 1 step ahead of that curve is part of the challenge. But the other part of the challenge is focusing on yourself and what makes the Montana State Bobcats at their best, and really making sure that we go into Boise with that end in mind.
So here we go. We play on Monday after 3 games in 5 days, a grueling stretch. But now, you do have a week between games, travel out to Boise on Saturday. But overall, how do you plan to use this week to get the guys both rested and ready to go? Because they're playing some good basketball right now.
Yeah, we want to keep that edge. Obviously, you've got a little bit of time here to get a little healthier, get a little rest, get some juice in the tank. But also just sharpen your sword and make sure that we're prepared and ready to step on that court with a fighter's mentality. And everyone knows in March it's win or go home, and so that edge has to be there. You've got to have great practices and continue to get better 1% 1 day at a time.
All right, well, here we go. It's tournament time. It is March. The men have Weber State coming up on Monday with a 5:30 p.m. tip-off. All right, Coach, ready for the madness?
Let's do it.
All right, we're taking a break. When we come back, Grace Lawrence sits down with women's head coach Tricia Binford on the Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Welcome back into the Bobcat Insider. Grace Lawrence here with head coach Tricia Binford. We've made it. It's the end of the regular season. How are you and the team feeling?
We're doing great, Grace. It'll be nice to have a couple days off.
Yes, definitely. You guys secured the 4 seed last night with your win over Weber State. Getting into this grueling stretch, to end the regular season. 3 games, 5 days. How's the team holding up when it came to that final stretch?
Well, I think you feel those things, right? Especially this time of year, and it's a lot of games in a very short period of time. And I think there's some plays and some things that we watch back. We're like, oh yeah, that's showing. But at the same time, everybody's going through the grind, and that's where it shows a lot of mental toughness to finish that out. And fortunately, with the change in the Big Sky tournament format, there's going to be a few extra days until we play that first game.
For sure, getting into this 3-game stretch that you guys just ended. Tough loss to Idaho. It looked like the team was a little bit tired after that loss, but came out with a lot of energy against Eastern on Saturday. So I'm curious what the conversation kind of was in between that day, getting the team prepared for that final game in the Brick.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great takeaway. How do we look so tired on Thursday and then come back on Saturday and have tremendous energy? And I think they just had to create it. A part of that was probably senior day. I think some of it was coming off of a really tough loss, but we did look fatigued on Thursday, and I thought we bounced back extremely well and showed the fight that we have on the defensive end and gave ourselves a really good chance, and just didn't have a couple shots fall our way.
Getting into that end of the game, I know it was a heartbreaking loss on senior day. Take me to the end of the game through your eyes.
Well, yeah, I'm like back and forth. Want to credit our crowd. They had a couple chances to hit some free throws and separate a little bit more, and I thought the noise impacted some free throws down the stretch, and so we just kept having some opportunities, and very similar as it was at Eastern. We just kept staying in the game with our defense and had a couple shots, and that last possession, we knew it was going to Loetta. I even told the coaches as we're going through the line, I'm like, man, I wish I would love to have that last possession over again. At their place, we actually showed zone to try to get the ball out of her hands, force somebody else to take that shot, and certainly did not make that decision this time around. And we definitely contested it well. It's just she's playing like an MVP. She's their clutch kid in those moments. And so, the night that they played the Grizz, I know Buckley hit that shot, but during that game, it just felt like whoever's going to have the last possession is probably going to finish this game off.
Definitely getting into that game. Talking about Ella Johnson, one of your freshmen, she came back a couple weeks ago after an injury, but she's hit 2 big threes back-to-back in those games. How have you seen her develop? Because that felt like a big 3-pointer going into the half against Eastern.
Well, it did, and that's something we took away from Thursday's game. Idaho really collapsed off majority of our kids. They focused on a couple of our shooters, and so we were really second-guessing a lot of open shots that game. So we went into Friday, got after our kids a little bit more to prepare for Eastern, and in the film sessions really just challenged the kids that if this is a rhythm look for us off a drive and kick and inside out, those rhythm looks, we're taking them right now. This time of year, when you started Ella at the beginning of the year, we probably weren't, telling her to take as many of those, whereas now we are. And part of that's a credit to Ella. She's really put in the work. She's got a really good looking shot. But at the same time, our team as a whole, when we don't second guess, we're shooting the ball a lot better. So really proud of that turnaround for our team and just really being attack-minded on the offensive end.
Splitting the series with Eastern, getting that one on the road and taking them down to the wire, the top team in the Big Sky, like I just mentioned. How does that do for your team's confidence now going into postseason play?
Yeah, I think the team feels pretty confident about what we're capable of when we show up and do us. We have played Eastern well. We've played a lot of teams well in this conference. There's been a lot of games where we've had some pieces out of the lineup. We want to go into tournament with our 10. Right now, it's going to come down to the teams that advance that are playing a really complete 40 minutes. And for us, that always starts on the defensive end. We felt like we got our defense back against Eastern Washington. We caused some mistakes. We took that into Weber State as well. Those are the things that you're going to have to take into the tournament if you're going to win the first day in advance. You've got to really do a great job making it tough on that end of the floor. And then obviously you hit some shots, and that's how you move on. It's really locking in for that 40 minutes.
Right, getting into that Weber State game on Monday night, Mara Dykstra had 20. You guys got out to a pretty hefty lead. They clawed their way back. Just talking about the end of that game, getting the win, though, building that confidence going into Boise.
Well, to start, that's one of the best games that we've shot the ball as of late, and we were a little bit surprised. Weaver came out and played so much zone. We were expecting a little bit more man, so it did open up some shots from the perimeter, and kids were really shot ready. I think that's something that we've taken since that Idaho game, and Mara really is starting to come on and just putting her in places where she can be attack-oriented everywhere. She was one of those kids that was passing up shots against Idaho. Everybody has heard, and sometimes for confidence you just need to hear from your peers, you need to hear from your coaches that we all want you taking certain shots. Mara is certainly one of those kids, and she wasn't second guessing. She was taking what was given, and then the team, we just really had probably a complete 3.5, and Weaver has shown this against a lot of teams as far as teams get leads, and then all of a sudden they're right back in the mix, and that's a lot of fight on their end, and we just didn't handle some game management extremely well, but we're going to clean that up for sure.
Definitely. The next time you guys play will be on Monday against Northern Colorado, a team you've split with when you went on the road. A bit earlier this season you lost, didn't have Mara, and then they come back to the break. You guys win big, 61-40. Maddie Jack had 19 points in that game. So what's going to be key in the third match up against the Bears?
Well, this time around, it's neutral for both. So for us, it's, once again, I think it comes down to really great defense, making sure we know where their shooters are. You've got two pretty incredible shooters and scorers on the perimeter, but they've also got an inside presence that is very effective. So I think the defensive end making those things difficult, and for us, we have to execute. We have to have great composure. We have to organize. We have had some quarter management that we have not valued, taking the last shot of quarters, and those things are all going to add up. So for us, we want to be really well-oiled and efficient in those things going in.
Yeah, reflecting back on kind of the regular season play when it comes to the Big Sky, you guys, you had 4 season-ending injuries to veterans for a majority of it. Just reflecting back, just what has this team meant to you, the adversity they've overcome in your eyes this season?
Well, they've meant everything. When you look at kind of from the last spring to where we are right now, it took everybody investing in who we were going to be, what we wanted to be. Everybody was all in on what that needed to look like. Nobody has cared about who gets the credit. Everybody has been willing to step up and do what's necessary for us to have success. It's been a group effort, and there's been a lot of adversity. And Maddie Jackson and I were actually talking about this after the game, because we were a little bit disappointed on how we finished last night. And we're reflecting on, for the things that we've been through and what we're overcoming, there's been a lot of victories, and we're certainly not finished yet, but really proud of this group.
I think everyone's taken notice when it comes to the Big Sky, Bozeman, whatnot. It's been such a great season, regular season. Thank you so much, and best of luck in Boise. Let's do March.
Sounds great. Thanks, Grace.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Of course. All right, and coming back up after this, Keaton and I will be previewing those games.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
For one last time, welcome back into the Bobcat Insider. Like I said at the top of the show, we've made it. It's March. The teams are headed to Boise in just a few days.
Yes, sir. Here we go. Wrapping up our episodes of the Bobcat Insider today. And for the women, they've got the matchup against Northern Colorado, noon tip on Monday in the quarterfinals. If they beat UNC, presumably a matchup against Eastern Washington in the semifinals. Overall, pretty nice matchups here for the women.
Definitely. I think they're on the side of the bracket they want to be. The only team that swept them is NAU, and they wouldn't presumably meet them till the championship game. So some pretty good seeding on their side, ending on a high note, winning on Monday night against Weber State. And they're playing Northern Colorado, a team that they split with. They didn't have Mara Dykstra when they went to UNC, their first matchup this season. So it's going to be a very interesting game come Monday. Right.
They lost that game on the road at UNC, won the game at home with some great defense slowing down UNC's premier three-point shooting. And, of course, again, nice matchup against Eastern if you can get there. Meanwhile, for the men, they would also face Eastern Washington in the semifinals if they can end Dylan Jones' career and beat Dylan Jones for a third straight year in the Big Sky tournament. And with the Bobcats playing so well on the men's side now, I don't want the season to be over.
I completely agree. I mean, it's not every year when the conference tournament comes around, you get a rematch of the team you just ended the regular season against. Lots of emotions last night, I feel like, from Weber, from the senior day, from Montana State. It's going to take everybody stepping up to the plate once again. I think, you have players like John Olmstead stepping up, Tyler Patterson shooting very well from the three-point line. It's going to take a whole team effort to end Dylan Jones' career at Weber.
No doubt. And Jed Miller had a couple of big shots last night as well. He even had multiple rebounds, some assists, played some great defense, had a big steal against Dylan Jones as well. So the depth is coming along for the men, and hopefully they get more than one game and they get the opportunity to move on when they get to Boise. Women tip at noon, men tip at 5:30 p.m. on Monday. Grace, this has been great.
It has. I'm so grateful wonderful to be doing the show with you every week, and it's been a fun run. Let's do March.
Ditto. All right, thank you for tuning in all season long, and that wraps up this season's edition of the Bobcat Insider.